Hey, welcome to the third episode of Niigata Exchange Experience. So it's been a while since my last episode, since I've been pretty busy with university work, with assignments from UTS, which is my home university in Sydney, and also with homework from classes that started last month. But it's been really good. There were some concerns I had last month about whether I'd be able to make friends, and I was worried about how difficult or easy classes would be. And none of that were actually a problem when I started uni, which is great. If you remember from last episode, I was talking about how I wanted to join some university clubs and circles. So the difference between clubs and circles in Japan is that clubs are usually a lot more focused on training, they're a lot more strict and a lot more disciplined, and they expect you to have a higher commitment to the club as well. So for example, with some sports clubs, they might require you to do training 4 or 5 times a week, and circles on the other hand are a lot more casual. So that's obviously just in general, but there are differences between different clubs as well. Some clubs don't expect you to be there every single training session, while others do care that you show up most of the time. So in terms of circles that I tried out, I first tried out the tennis club, but I found that it wasn't really for me. And then afterwards, I joined the International Volunteering Club. So I feel like this is probably the one society that you should join if you're an international student. So when I first joined the society, I had some concerns about it being mostly in English and then not being able to practice my Japanese, but that's not the case at all. The club is completely ran in Japanese, and there are international students and local students as well. I found it really interesting to talk to other international students who weren't from English-speaking countries, because then we are only able to practice in Japanese. And it's really cool because there are quite a lot of people and you really get to make some good friends through the events. And they have a lot of events every month as well. Another circle that I tried out was the home circle, which is a handcraft circle. And for our very first activity, we made mizuhiki, which is a traditional Japanese knot. And so we sat in a classroom together and we split into little groups, and then we all tried to make this mizuhiki. It was super fun, and I really like that by the end of it you have a little trinket to carry home. And they do events twice a month, I believe. There's so many other circles and clubs available, and you can mostly find it through the Niigata University website or through Twitter. So there are actually quite a lot of unofficial circles that aren't affiliated with the university on Twitter. Like for example, one of my friends runs the Tea Time Circle, which goes on cafe trips twice a month and also hosts tea parties or little tea tasting sessions within the members' homes as well. So would definitely recommend you to check it out. And they're only on Twitter, so yeah. With official university clubs, you can also find them during Reimei, which is the university's clubs festival. So they don't actually have a lot of circles in this Reimei, but you can see the club events of sports clubs as well as literature clubs, and the Kokusai Volunteer Club is actually there as well, so the International Volunteering Club. It's a great event for you to check out what the university environment is really like and see the passion that everyone has for their own little club or society. Circles and clubs, I feel like everybody is super friendly because they are there to meet friends, but you have to make sure that you join early on in the sessions when they have the newcomers welcoming sessions, because I feel like in Japan they do care about when you join, and you should join in the beginning, although there are clubs that don't mind if you join middle of the semester as well. So that's clubs and circles. Very fun, a lot of good opportunity to practice your Japanese and get to know other Japanese people. But for me, the place that I made the most friends through was actually surprisingly and unexpectedly through class. So for the classes that I chose, there is Active Learning A and Active Learning C, which is a collaborative classroom where you get together with Japanese students and international students. So in Active Learning A, it's around 80% English and 20% Japanese. Active Learning B is around 50% English and 50% Japanese. And Active Learning C is 80% Japanese and 20% English. So right now I'm taking Active Learning A and Active Learning C, and that's how I met some local Japanese friends as well. And those classes are really fun because you really get to interact with other people in either English or Japanese. So if it's Active Learning A, you get to interact with Japanese students whose English proficiency is pretty good. And we actually went on a trip with one of them, and it was super, super fun. And in Active Learning C, you get to practice your Japanese skills, and you do presentations with other Japanese students. So in this class, it's all ran in Japanese. And the Japanese students there also speak to you in yasashi Japanese, yasashi Nihongo, which is like simple and easy to understand Japanese. And I feel like everyone there are super duper duper nice. Like they're all super accommodating to how we aren't yet able to fully understand the language, and at the same time they're also interested in learning about our own language and cultures. So it feels like a really good environment. After that class I always get lunch with everybody. In terms of Yahiko. Yahiko is around 30 minutes away from where Ikarashi campus is by train, and it's honestly one of the prettiest places that I've ever been to. Its station looks like a temple, and it's a whole tourist village. So you see a lot of traditional style buildings that sell their local foods and products. And we also went to visit a shrine, and they had chickens there for some reason. I think there was a contest at the time for the farmers, and they all brought in their best and biggest or smallest chickens and competed against each other. There was even some sort of chicken calling competition where there were two chickens on a podium, and I guess they're judges that judge how well the chickens sing or yell. Very unexpected, but it was really cool. And then we went to see, we saw the jinja, which is like the temple there, and we also went to Yahiko Yama, and we climbed a mountain. So it was a very hot day, even though the weather was really nice, but we definitely recommend bringing a lot of water when you're doing that hike because it's mostly uphill and it's very easy to become dehydrated. But it was such a good time, and when we got to the top, we were all relieved that we were done with it. And it was totally worth it because once you're at the top, you can see pretty much all of Niigata. You see all the rice paddies, and it's just such a natural landscape that I feel like you can't really see anywhere else. And so you can see the Sea of Japan, and there's also a little shrine at the top of the mountain as well. Above all, the best thing is that they have an ice cream vending machine and a food court, as well as a cable car area that you can take the cable car back down to the bottom of the hill. Of course, you don't have to hike the mountain, you can just take the cable car up, but we wanted to get some exercise in since it was such a lovely day. We went to Yahiko during the most crowded time, and we definitely recommend going on another normal weekend rather than during the Golden Week. But it was still such a great time. They were very good at directing the traffic and everything. Oh, another thing that happened at Yahiko Mountain was that at the very top of the mountain, our phones started ringing and it was blaring out earthquake alert. And this was the first time I've experienced it since I've arrived to Niigata. And the earthquake wasn't actually in Niigata, but it was in Ishikawa, and it was a pretty big earthquake from what I saw in the news. It was magnitude 6, and quite a lot of people got injured in that earthquake. And I guess after that event, it got me thinking how it's very possible that an earthquake can strike Niigata, and I had to do some research regarding what procedures to take if an earthquake does hit our area. I know it's not a really nice thing to think about, but I definitely would recommend reading up about tsunami or earthquake evacuation procedures within the area if you haven't done so already. It's better just for peace of mind. But yeah, definitely ended up reading a lot about it after that earthquake, even though it was only a very small tremor for us, but in the epicenter of that earthquake, it was pretty severe in terms of the damages done to buildings and the amount of injuries that occurred as well. So I guess that's the end of the third episode. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would be happy to answer them if I have the answer to it. See ya!